Hello, everybody. Welcome back to podcast of PTE Magic. And today is a pop-up series where we happen to get two of our special guests today, coming all the way from Australia, and we'll share a lot of information about the jobs and visa, especially those that are related to visa 4A2. And I hope you will enjoy this video. So to get started, I will do a short introduction. Our first guest is Mr. Richard Foo. So can you please do some, share with us some information? Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. It's very good to be here with you again. I always enjoy working with PTE Magic.
Thank you.
So I'm Richard. I'm the CEO of the FMS Group, so Frontier Migration Solutions. We've been operating in Australia now for 24 years.
Yes.
It started off as a small family company and has now grown to have offices in Vietnam,
Yes.
in Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi, as well as offices in India, Nepal, Fiji, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Philippines, China, and Taiwan.
Impressive. Yes.
So next to me is Ni, and she will introduce herself.
I am Nhi. I am a director marketing of Vietnam office. So I take care on the job for the Vietnam office.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you very much. As 25 years in business, that's very, very impressive.
Yes.
And I totally believe that, the experience and the information you will bring along today will be very valuable for all of the viewers, as, the immigration is always changing. And, for someone who can stay updated with that information is not an easy job. And so I think we'll just get started with knowing more about FMS, because as we know, in the market right now, there are a lot of agents doing visa and job services. However, there must be some special or some strengths that FMS is delivering at the moment. And we love to hear that, what exactly you're very confident doing.
I think the first thing to note is, yes, there are a lot of people trying to sell visas here in Vietnam, but there are very few Australian registered migration agents. So we're from Australia. We have to operate under Australian laws, and that means meeting Australian standards and being authorised by the Australian government to provide advice, information, and assist people with their visa applications and developing a pathway for them to come and live in Australia. So yes, there are many people here trying to sell visas and trying to help people with visas, but actually only a very, very small portion are actually allowed to and approved by the Australian government. And we're one of those, of course. And we have been for, since 2002.
Yes.
So it's 22 years now.
Yes. Okay. So just a quick question. With the immigrations, right? There are, as you mentioned, so many number of visas that are available in the market right now. And so what visas that FMS is doing, most of the times?
Yeah. Look, we do all sorts of visas. The types of visas the Australian government wants to come into Australia changes all the time. And those types of visas depend on what the government wants, their policies for how Australia develops. At the moment, we are very, very focused on employer-sponsored visas.
Employer-sponsored visa.
As opposed to student visas. Okay. As opposed to student visas, tourist visas, family visas. At the moment, these are not the priorities of the Australian government.
Yes.
So we do visas that the Australian government wants to come in, because that's the way to get people into Australia.
Oh, that's a very, very good strategy. So instead of doing a whole lot of different sorts of visas, you focus on what the types of visas that are more prominent at the current point of time. Right?
I mean, a lot of these visas, they do have they do have quotas.
Yes.
And there's no point focusing on something that has a tiny quota, because you'll only be able to help a small amount of people.
Oh, that's true.
At the end of the day, we're here to help our clients build a new life in Australia. And we want to help as many people do that as possible. And so we need to work in a way the Australian government wants, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that give the visa.
Yep.
There's no point fighting the people that
Yep.
are going to give you the visa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, so please allow me to ask Nhi just one question quickly in Vietnamese. Nhi ơi, thế thì đối với lại FMS á, khi mà có 2 năm hay 4 năm kinh nghiệm, thì đối với thị trường Việt Nam á, FMS vào thị trường này bao lâu rồi?
Sau dịch Covid.
Sau dịch Covid là 2020,
2020 và 21 rồi.
21,
Dạ.
yes. Và tới nay là mình đã được gần như 3 năm rồi.
Dạ.
Đúng không
Thì
ạ?
trước đó thì cũng có nhưng mà không có là trực tiếp làm nhiều, nhưng mà bắt đầu từ sau cái buổi dịch là 2021.
Yes. Thế thì theo Nhi thấy thì trong suốt 3 năm làm việc ấy, thì thị trường Việt Nam á, có cái sự tăng trưởng lên hay là như thế nào?
Năm trước và năm này thấy có tăng, rất là nhiều người quan tâm tới việc đi làm và định cư tại Úc.
Yep.
Cái số liệu là tăng theo năm, và tại vì công ty em là cái công ty trực tiếp nhận hồ sơ khách trực tiếp và làm việc với doanh nghiệp cũng trực tiếp luôn, nên là lượng khách bây giờ người ta biết đến, tiếp cận được nhiều hơn về những cái kết quả mà bên em mang lại cho họ. Và kiểu như có khách cũ, có được visa, có công việc, có kết quả tốt rồi thì họ sẽ giới thiệu những cái người sau.
Yes. Very good, thank you. So just going back to the visas that we have been discussing. So as you mentioned, this year the Australian government is focusing on the sponsor visa. Well, could you please tell us a bit more about the definition of this visa and the basic requirements that anyone who's interested in knowing or traveling to Australia on this visa must know?
Yeah. So actually, it's not a single visa; it's a whole group of visas.
There's a whole group of visa. Yes.
It's a visa, what we call a visa program.
Visa program. Okay. Yes, that's the new keyword.
Yeah.
Yep.
So with this visa program, there are several visas inside, different criteria. But at the end of the day, there are 4 criteria that exist for all of them.
Yes.
Number 1, you must have someone, a company, a business in Australia willing to sponsor you.
Yes.
So this is not a monetary sponsorship.
Yep.
It is like a support from them to the Australian government that will allow you to come and work for that company.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you must have a job in Australia, a job offer. Okay, that's one criteria.
Okay.
The second job offer. The second criteria is all these visas, they require English.
That's my job.
Okay, that's your job. And look, we've sent many clients to you, and they've all passed successfully.
Thank you very much.
We should thank you for getting our clients through the English requirement.
Our pleasure.
Okay?
Yes.
So that's the second English level, and it varies from visa to visa.
Yes.
But in that program, there's always an English requirement.
What would be the average requirement for the visa?
It ranges from PTE 30 up to PTE 50.
50, yes. Yeah. Okay, so that would be
a very big
IELTS,
range.
4.5 to about IELTS 6.
Yes,
in general. Yes.
Yeah.
And as you said, it depends.
Yeah, it depends on the job and have a minimum of each band.
Yes, that's true. Right.
Yeah, so PTE know that all my our clients to send you at their own path and get the recruit.
Yes, thank you very much. That's really made up my life today. Yes.
So the third part, of course, is the actual skills to do the job.
Yes.
So our job is not just to get people a visa; it's to get them set up in Australia, so they can establish themselves and their families.
Yes.
We have a recruitment company.
Yes.
Our sister company, FMS Employment.
Yes.
With Australian degree qualified human resources managers.
Yes.
That do the recruitment for the Australian companies. Okay. So having the skills and being matched up with the right employer for your skills is a very, very important part.
Yeah.
Because we need to make sure that it's not just a matter of getting a sponsor.
Yes.
If you lose your job, there's a big problem. So we have to make sure you keep the job.
Yep.
And that you're a good match for your employer is a good match for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the third part. And the fourth and final part, for many Vietnamese, you will need what's called a skills assessment.
Skill assessment, yes.
Yeah. And look, that's not a bad thing.
Yep.
When you do a skills assessment, you actually get an Australian qualification.
Mm.
It's recognized in Australia. It's good for your career.
Yeah.
Okay. It is mandatory for many occupations, but
Yeah.
not all. I would say less than 30 occupations
Yeah.
out of several hundred. So it's not many.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, just out of curiosity, for FMS recruitment, your sister company, as you mentioned,
It's wholly owned by FMS Group.
yes.
Yeah.
And so does FMS recruitment covers the entire nation, Australia, or there are certain cities that you can
Look,
locate jobs?
our head office
Yes.
is in a tiny town, smaller than Nha
Yes.
Trang in
Yeah,
Darwin.
smaller than Nha
Yeah.
Trang, yes.
Yep. Again, next to the beach, which is why we're there. So, but look, our head office is in a small town.
Yep.
But we work for companies across Australia.
Yes.
So we work for listed companies
Yes.
in Australia. We work for US defense contractors.
Yes.
Well, we also work for many small Australian family businesses.
Yes.
So we work for companies where the turnover is 50, $100 billion a year, some very, very big companies.
Yes.
We work for companies where the turnover is only 500,000 Australian a year.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's us matching
Yes,
the person, the right candidate up to the right employer.
Yes.
Because employer sponsorship is like getting married.
Yes.
You are going to be stuck together for 2-3 years
Yeah.
before you get your PR.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I asked that particular question is because so for Vietnamese, a lot of people want to go to Australia because they have their relatives in certain cities like Melbourne or Sydney, Adelaide or Perth, and so one of the priorities when they look for a particular job in Australia, they want to stay close to their wherever their relatives are.
I think that's the hardest part of this visa program is getting the job.
Yes.
So clients should not handicap themselves by looking at a single city.
Yes.
Really, people want to go to Australia and be close to their families because families offer support.
Yes.
And that's part of the role of FMS.
Yes.
No matter where you go, we will be there to support.
Yes.
Okay, so we have offices across Australia, not just in Darwin. That's where our head office is.
Yes.
But when clients arrive, everything from introducing them to accountants to set up their bank accounts, to sort out their tax, even something as simple as making sure when they arrive they have a SIM card so they can contact their family back home. We take care of all of that.
So basically, FMS provides a worry-free service.
Yes.
Where you pretty much have everything that you need.
Yeah.
That's very interesting to know. Right. So going back to my questions now, as you already let us know about definition of that visa for A2. Now I'm going to tell you one myth that a lot of candidates, especially some of our students, are spreading around is that if you want to go and work in Australia, right, you can play around to get your skill assessment done so that you can get a job and get the visa. Now, in your experience, have you ever come across any of that situations where people ask you to go around, with all of those requirements, especially something you can't go around, especially for English, you have to pass a test, right? But for work experience, for skill assessment, you can go around with that. Is it true?
Look, it is possible, but it's extremely dangerous.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, with the government charges, with our fees, the cost of relocation, clients are going to be spending a lot of money. All right? It's going to be a very big investment for them. Sometimes it's better to wait a little longer and not risk so much money and not risk being banned from Australia than doing the wrong thing.
It's not a worthwhile
it's not worthwhile. The Australian government in their policy has already said in the coming year they're strengthening their compliance. So the Australian government is checking, but you also have to remember at the end of the day, I said one of the main criteria is having an employer and being able to do the job. If you really don't have the experience and you go and you can't do the job well, the pay in Australia is so high that an employer is not going to keep someone around that can't do a job.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So it's really doing yourself a great disservice by trying to cut corners, because you'll just put yourself and your family in a very difficult position when you're in Australia.
You are right. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Of course, someone gets fired.
Yeah.
You know, what do they do then? At the end of the day, they have to come back here, and they'll be quite a lot poorer, and it's embarrassing.
Yes, yes, that's right. Now, just one another question I want to ask Nhi before I give you another harder questions. Okay. Nhi cho mình hỏi cái là theo Nhi thấy là trong cái thời gian vừa qua đó, giống như anh Richard chia sẻ đó là có rất là nhiều người qua Úc theo visa là chủ bảo lãnh, thì Nhi có thể chia sẻ cho mình nghe là cái visa hay là các cái ngành nghề nào hiện tại bây giờ mà theo Nhi thấy là đang available ở Úc nè, là người Việt mình á, là thường thường họ hay apply là những visa những cái ngành nghề này.
Công ty em thì có rất là nhiều job có sẵn như là thợ cắt tóc này, thợ cơ khí này, thợ sửa chữa xe máy, xe hơi, thợ sửa chữa lắp đặt điều hòa, rồi thợ sửa chữa đèn kính ô tô đó. Rồi những cái thợ ráp này kia, rất là nhiều job có sẵn ngoài cái job văn phòng ra. Thì hồi giờ là bên em rất là đa dạng ngành job, tại vì bên em thì thường thì làm việc cùng với chủ doanh nghiệp, thì chủ doanh nghiệp yêu cầu bên em tìm những cái lao động cho cái ngành nghề gì thì bắt bên em mới tuyển, chứ bên em không có nhận hồ sơ rồi mới đi tìm sponsor. Là giống như có sẵn sponsor đó hỏi yêu cầu để tìm lao động cho họ, thì bên em mới tuyển những cái lao động đó cho họ, chứ không bao giờ là nhận hồ sơ rồi mới đi tìm cái sponsor.
Tức mình có sẵn cái cầu rồi.
Dạ, sẵn cái cầu rồi. Dạ. Nên là có những job hiện tại là available, nhưng mà nếu mà đủ rồi không biết là trong tháng sau nó có còn xuất hay không, có kiểu vậy á. Lao động ở Việt Nam á, thì theo như là đánh giá của chủ doanh nghiệp thì họ có tay nghề, nhưng mà tiếng Anh đợi lâu quá. Tại vì họ thường thì rất là nhiều các anh khách là ở trên 30 mấy là họ đều có gia đình hết, để mà học thêm một cái ngôn ngữ thì đó là cái rào cản lớn nhất của họ. Đó. Nhưng mà chủ doanh nghiệp thì người ta thì lại không thể nào mà đợi rất là lâu để mà lao động có thể đến nước Úc mà làm việc cho họ. Đó thì cái đó là chỉ có đó là rào cản thôi, chứ còn tay nghề là ok, nước Việt Nam là tay nghề rất là tốt.
Rất là mừng ha, để rào cản đó mình có thể gỡ được cho các bạn. Đó là thật ra đối với bạn học từ không có gì mà lên cái điểm số, nhưng mà như chia sẻ là cần 36 điểm cái PTE để mà các bạn nộp á.
Rồi và có những cái ngành nghề là yêu cầu là mỗi cái band, each band là minimum là bao nhiêu, mỗi cái kỹ năng của nó là phải bao nhiêu điểm thì mới là đủ yêu cầu. Còn có những cái ngành nghề là chỉ cần overall là đủ yêu cầu. Nhưng mà bên em là kiểu công ty làm trực tiếp, giống như là anh luật sư cũng là giám đốc thôi, giám đốc luôn, nên là mọi thứ là tư vấn cho khách rất là kỹ về cái vấn đề là chứng chỉ tiếng Anh cần bao nhiêu cho cái ngành job đó. Ví dụ như có những cái ngành, có những khách đó, người ta tư vấn với lại bên đại lý khác thì họ nói là họ đi thi là chỉ cần overall bao nhiêu đây, mà họ không có biết là cái yêu cầu từng mỗi kỹ năng là cần đạt bao nhiêu. Nhưng mà khi mà họ quay về bên em thì lại ngược lại. Đó, nhưng mà khi họ nộp thì họ bị fail, tại vì mỗi kỹ năng á, là cũng có yêu cầu cho những cái job. Nên là những khách hàng nào bên em gửi cho PTE thì Magic thì sẽ ok thôi, tại vì bên anh đều nắm cái phần đó mà, thì mỗi cái ngành nghề nào bên em đều có thể nhắc anh này cần bao nhiêu điểm, và mỗi kỹ năng cũng cần phải đạt được bao nhiêu điểm. Còn có những ngành nghề không cần phải mỗi kỹ năng, là mình chỉ cần gọi là overall 30, 36 là được rồi.
Yes, thank you Nhi. Alrighty, I ask you questions about the occupations that you're recruiting at the moment. The reason why we're asking this is because in Vietnam, I think you already know that it is a little bit hard for a lot of workers in Vietnam to prove their experience, because especially for trade occupations, they work as a mechanic or a barbers, they don't really have that sort of paperwork to prove their experiences over the years. And so let's say, for example, there could be a mechanic who has probably 2 or 3 years in the field, but they don't successfully have those paperwork ready to prove it. So how would you advise in this particular scenario?
There's two things. Visa processes are never quick.
Visa process never quick.
Never quick.
Yes, that's
It's
good
never
to know.
quick.
Yep.
So clients can use that time to
Yes.
their advantage.
Yes.
Right. Number one, we need to organize job interviews. They need to organize their English.
Yes.
Okay, that takes time.
Yes.
Right. So they can use that time to make sure they've got the right job, to make sure they've got the right paperwork.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I'm assuming most of them have the skills already. But the other thing is that there are visas that do not require as much work experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the training visa, for example, also
Yep.
requires a sponsor, but that one only requires 1 year work experience.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the clients can come to Australia, work, get more better paperwork, and then go to the next step. So our job at FMS, of course, we provide an end-to-end service in partnership with PTE Magic.
Yep. Thank you.
And so our job is to not just get someone a visa.
Yep.
Any like many people can do that.
Yep.
Okay. It's not that's not the difficult part.
Yep.
The difficult part is to build a migration pathway for them, a plan.
Yes.
Right? And that takes knowledge of not just what the visa requirements are today. It takes knowledge of what the visa requirements are going to be next year and the year after that.
Yes.
Yeah. So it takes knowledge of all an understanding of the visa programs.
You're encouraging people who have the experience but doesn't have that particular experience, not the paperwork at the moment, to take advantage of the time that visa processing to prepare.
Yeah.
Right?
Come and talk to me.
Yeah.
If clients are serious, if they're committed, most of the time we can work out a pathway for them.
Yes. Okay. So there's always a way.
There's always a way, and there's always a way that does not require doing anything dodgy.
All right. So anything, but the dodgy method, right?
I mean, we've been doing this too long to risk our reputation.
Yes, that's true.
And doing the right thing means that we do have a very good reputation with the Australian government.
Yep.
I worked for the state government as a manager of migration for one of the states.
Yes.
So we have good connections. We're well known.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, doing a good job, being honest, means that when we do applications, the Australian government has confidence that if we say A, B, and C, then it really is A, B, and C.
Yes. Wow. Okay. So your experience working in a state government really push you in positions where the advice that you're giving to your clients and the future candidates will be first of all credit, but also very very advisable. Thank you so much. It's interesting to know. Đối với bạn không biết thì anh Richard làm cho cơ quan của mình tặng bằng tiếng Việt hay là cơ quan của chính phủ về cái bộ phận di trú này, quản lý người di trú này, cho nên chắc chắn là những kinh nghiệm của anh mà chia sẻ chúng ta thì nó sẽ rất là uy tín và rất là đáng tin cậy để mà chúng ta có thể lắng nghe theo. Right now, going back to the visa sponsor, we have heard that the government already announced to increase that salary required to 73,000. Right? We want to know more about it. Can you please
look?
Because it's a very high number.
It's a very high number. Yes. It's very good for many workers.
Yes.
But I think even though that has increased, one thing remains the same for all the employer-sponsored visas. Workers from overseas must be paid what an Australian is paid to do the same job in the same location.
Yes, that's
okay.
Very good philosophy,
it's there. It's part of the visa application and the nomination process. Now, if the Australian gets paid $50,000, it's not possible for the overseas person to get paid 73 and pass.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's one very important thing. It does make it a little harder. But many of the jobs that we seek to fill, they're with companies that are reputable, big or small. They're all reputable, and they're all willing to pay what the overseas person, what they'd pay an Australian, and meet the salary threshold requirement. That salary threshold requirement is different for different visa programs. Okay, so for the standard programs that
Yep.
apply across all of Australia,
Yep.
it is $73,250.
Yep.
Okay, but there are other programs specific to regional Australia, parts of regional Australia,
Yes.
where it's got to be no less than 55,000.
Oh.
Still have to be paid what an
Yep.
Australian is paid.
Yep. What program is it? Is that
It's actually called the Designated Area Migration Agreement, the DAMA program.
Yes.
And that is a customized labour agreement program,
Yes.
Individually negotiated between the state governments, the Australian government, and involving individual businesses in those areas. Right? So, but the important thing always is, yes, the minimum might be lower, but our clients will always get paid what an Australian gets paid.
Yep. And that's a very good news because
Yeah.
I think when we received a piece of information about the increase up to $73,000, I mean, obviously for the workers and for the employees, this was good news because basically they get more to take away.
Well,
However,
they're not really getting more. That's the thing, because they should have, like, if they were getting paid 60,000 before, then and now it increases to 73. If there's no Australian getting 73,
yes,
and the boss is not willing to pay, then
yes, that's exactly
still the same thing.
You were saying. It makes it harder for the employers. I mean, I totally believe that a lot of employers in Australia are in need of having the skilled workers to come and work for them, but that challenge of fulfilling the $73,000 requirement isn't something easy that they can do it.
But we have many employers that do pay that much. Everything from cooks to mechanics to carpenters, welders, also many jobs. At the moment, we have over 500 jobs that we need to fill, and it's just a matter of us locating the right worker. So the right worker and the right employer are matched up.
So Nhi, can you please, I mean, Nhi, chị Nhi khi nào mà Nhi có thời gian thì nhờ Nhi là có thể share cái danh sách mà năm cho công việc mà anh Richard vừa chia sẻ ha, tại vì mình nghĩ rằng ngoài rất là nhiều người họ cũng đang muốn tìm hiểu về lĩnh vực này, nhưng mà có thể là họ không, giống như anh Richard chia sẻ lúc đầu đó là họ đang đi tìm cái người chủ đó nhưng họ không biết là ngoài kia là người chủ đang đi tìm mình nữa.
Đúng rồi, có một khách hàng họ có người thân ở bên Úc.
Yes.
Khi mà họ nói là họ đi tìm cho cái ngành nghề dán phim ô tô đi, thì họ mới nói là người nhà anh tìm đâu có đâu mà sao em giới thiệu được, anh không có tin. Thì em mới nói là bên em là làm việc không có một chủ doanh nghiệp lớn, người ta sẽ có những cái shop nhỏ của họ, cái business nhỏ, tại vì một cái công ty lớn, doanh nghiệp lớn
make sure I don't want the auto film ones. Right, because that's limited. It's only for Northern Territory. Right?
We just talk about the occupation.
The occupations. You need to tell the ones where we need a lot.
Yes.
There's no point saying auto film because we only need 2.
I don't know. She's just sharing about an experience about how people are looking for the job, but they don't even know people are looking for them.
Even they ask for the family relative in Australia to find a job, but they cannot find a company who is want to sponsor that.
So then you need to say that our job is our recruitment company is not just about finding a job. It's about finding the sponsor.
Yes.
And making sure the sponsor is honest, reliable, will pay what they need to pay, all those things.
Let me share in Vietnamese. I think that would be very valuable.
Cũng có một anh khách là nói là gia đình anh cũng đã thử tìm cho anh một cái người chủ nào để có cái ngành nghề này để mà anh qua đó anh làm không, nhưng mà không ai tìm được. Mà tại sao là bên em lại có thể tìm được? Thì bên em là làm việc với lại cái chủ của cái doanh nghiệp lớn đó, chứ không phải là bên em làm với cái người quản lý của cái shop từng cái khu vực ở Úc của họ. Cho nên là làm sao mà họ có thể tìm được một cái công ty doanh nghiệp uy tín, là họ sẽ tìm một cái agent uy tín lớn để làm việc trực tiếp, chứ không thể mà thông qua một cái quản lý hay là một cái người nhỏ nào, nên là sẽ chẳng ai tìm được một cái chủ doanh nghiệp nào để mà bảo lãnh mình đâu. Để thông qua một cái công ty di trú trực tiếp như là Frontier thì mới có thể tìm được cho mọi người cái chủ doanh nghiệp, tại vì cái visa 482 này là phần khó nhất là tìm chủ doanh nghiệp bảo lãnh.
Thank you so much. Sorry, going back to the visa for it, especially the DAMA that you mentioned. Now, the reason why I want to really emphasize on this because in Vietnam, I think very few pieces of information about visa DAMA that people know about it. So if you can share some more information on this, because at the moment we know the visa 482. I think that's one of the most popular. 494 and DAMA are something that are very unknown to a lot of people. Yeah.
So the DAMA is a program. It's a sub-program of the employer-sponsored program.
Yep.
Now, the DAMA is not a visa. It's a program.
It's not a visa. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So the DAMA has 3 visas.
Yes.
One of which is the 482.
Okay.
So the criteria you see on the immigration website, they're for the standard program.
Yes.
The
That's
medium,
the most popular one. Right?
or not necessarily the most popular, but the standard program.
Standard, yep.
So medium term 482, short term 482, standard 494, standard 186, which is a PR.
Yep.
Right? But the DAMA is the labor agreement stream.
Labor agreement stream.
So you'll see that on the immigration website, and when you open it, there'll be no information.
Yes.
And the reason why there's no information is, as I mentioned, the DAMA is a customized, individually negotiated agreement between a state government, a business, and the immigration department.
Okay.
So the requirements for the DAMA, they fit within a framework, but they are different for each DAMA, and they're different for each occupation.
Yes.
Yeah. So the DAMA provides the most flexibility.
Yes.
It lets businesses sponsor jobs that they can't be sponsored any other way. Lower English for many occupations, less experience, different skills assessments or no skills assessments.
Can you give an experience? I mean, an example of a DAMA that you have done?
So we do a lot of DAMAs.
Yes.
It's a very big part of our business.
Wow. Yep.
So actually we do maybe 10 a week.
Yes.
A lot.
Wow, 10 a week.
10 a week.
It's a very impressive number.
And that's been for several years now.
Yes.
But with the DAMAs, I can give you the example of automotive parts fitter. So the people doing the windscreen tinting, the motor vehicle wrapping, changing tires, these cannot be sponsored using a standard visa program, but they can with the DAMA.
Yep.
Same with a cook. So a normal cook, from Vietnam, must have a skills assessment.
Yes, that's right.
But there is a special type of cook called a specialist ethnic cook. So a Vietnamese cook or Chinese cook or Italian cook. These ones, the skills assessment is different. It's a lot easier. So so it's a very specialized program. Very few people in Australia have experience with it.
Yes, I think it just opens a brand new door to a lot of candidates.
And it's the direction that the Australian government wants the visa program to head in.
So how do potential candidates access this piece of information?
The overarching criteria is still the same: English, and sponsor skills and so on.
Yes.
So the only way they can access it reliably is to come and talk to us.
Okay, cool. Alright, sorry. Để mình chia sẻ bằng tiếng Việt đó là cái chia sẻ của anh Richard về thông tin vừa rồi, đó là đối với cái visa 482 chúng ta vừa nghe là nó là một những cái visa rất là standard, những nội dung mà chúng ta thường thấy trên mạng. Tuy nhiên là anh cũng nói về DAMA là một trong những cái chương trình rất là đặc biệt là cũng visa 482 đó, nhưng nó sẽ có cái tính gọi là được cách biệt và được cá nhân hóa nhiều hơn tùy theo từng cái khu vực, từng cái ngành nghề, và nó tạo điều kiện cho những cái nghề mà chúng ta có thể rất ít thấy có cái sự linh động để mà đạt được. Giống như anh chia sẻ là có một số ngành nghề nấu ăn, nhưng mà nấu ăn thì ai cũng phải có cái thẩm định tay nghề là skill assessment, nhưng nếu một số ngành nghề nấu ăn nhất định như là nấu ăn cho món Trung, món Việt, món Ý và một số cái ẩm thực các nước ấy, thì cái cách mà họ làm skill assessment sẽ khác đi và nó có nhiều sự linh động hơn ở đây. Tuy nhiên thì như anh Richard cũng chia sẻ là để mà tìm được thông tin một cách nó gọi là có sự tin tưởng, reliably, thì cần phải chuẩn bị những nội dung cơ bản như là phải có cái tay nghề này, phải có cái tiếng Anh này, và sau đó phải gặp anh Richard ở trên FMS để có thể được tư vấn cụ thể hơn. Right.
Yeah. I think the important thing is that, and we haven't covered this yet, is that there are many agents here,
Yes.
but actually they're sub-agents or sub-agents. They're people working for someone else, who are working for someone else, who are working for someone else. Yeah. So it's very hard to get
F0, F1, F2, F3.
And look, what it means is that everyone gets a little slice of the pie. You're paying
Yes.
more than you should have
Yep.
to pay, but also it means that your information is being
Yes.
diluted
Yes.
bit by bit as it comes down the chain.
It's not correct.
Yeah.
And sometimes has been altered as well, you know, previous compared to previous information. So,
Yeah.
yes, it's good to know. Now, just another question out of curiosity for FNS. I totally believe you guys have covered a lot of occupations already. However, Ni just mentioned one particular occupation that I think I haven't heard for the Australian market for a long time. That is doing beauty and nails and stuff. Because a lot of people believe that, you know, that is out the list already. So how do you even bring it back?
Look, it is in the Dharma list.
Yes.
Yeah. To be honest, it is not a high volume one.
Yes, not a high
So
volume
yeah,
one, all right.
because you know there are so many international students
Yes.
in Australia already doing that work.
Yeah.
And it's not practical for a business to bring someone from overseas
Yes.
when they have someone on their doorstep already working for them.
That's true.
And that's part of our role, is to not just go by the rules,
Yes.
but go by what's practical and works. It doesn't mean that, you know, we don't have clients that bring people in from overseas, but it's very few.
That's true. Okay, so speaking of volume, as you mentioned, that was in the small volume. So, which occupation is in the bigger high volume now?
The most highest level
highest one,
occupation at the moment, there's two of them.
Yes.
It's carpenters.
Carpenters, yes.
Because there's, you know, Australia, there's only on average three people that live in a house.
Yes.
It's not like Vietnam or China or Nepal.
Yes.
So we need a lot of houses, and we need a lot of people to build those houses. Okay?
To accommodate the nuclear families, right?
Yeah. And the other thing is, Australians like to be comfortable.
Yes.
We all like our air conditioning and heating.
Yes.
We need many refrigeration mechanics.
Yeah. Oh, refrigeration mechanics. Okay, yes.
So, I mean, it's a supply and demand thing.
Yeah.
The occupations change over time.
Yeah.
And look at our website. You can see on our website the list of occupations, and it's updated every month.
Oh, that's cool. All right, Nhi chắc chắn phải share này. Okay.
Thì cái occupation này á, là bên em thay đổi liên tục, tại vì khi mà có yêu cầu thiếu cái nhân lực lao động đó từ cái doanh nghiệp, thì bên em fill xong tuyển đủ rồi, bên em sẽ đi cho những cái ngành nghề tiếp theo cho cái thời gian đó, là cái yêu cầu cái tại thời điểm đó. Nên là có những cái job mọi người nói đợi sẽ không thể biết chắc được là còn hay không.
Đò đi luôn đúng không? Okay, yes.
Dạ, nên là mỗi tháng bên em có rất nhiều job mà khác nhau available. Đó, nên là liên tục update.
Thank you. So two of that within the high volume, which one is the additional occupation that, you know, candidates can think of?
Look, I think we have high volume occupations, but really, our website has not even a comprehensive list. It's just a high volume one.
Yes, just the high volume one.
So there's about 30 or 40 on there.
Perfect. All right, we'll have a look at it later. So Nhi, please drop the link below so that we can have a look at it.
I will share the link for you.
Thank you. All right, so my very last question for this would be, because I mean, all of the occupations you've mentioned are very fascinating and very new to it as well. And so, just say, you know, for carpenters, we have a lot of carpenters in Vietnam, but the problem is they probably don't even have proper degree or, you know, or qualification. So how? I mean, what is the chance for them to apply for this visa?
I think that's not a problem. It's not a problem.
So how do they, you know?
So look, at the end of the day, if an employer wants you,
yes,
that's the main obstacle overcome.
Okay.
And an employer is more likely to want someone who has a lot of experience than someone who has a qualification and only 1 year experience. no one that we know is willing to sponsor a carpenter from overseas with only 1 year experience,
Yes.
even if they're qualified, because it's a big investment on the company's part too. You know, they're making a commitment to employ someone, pay them over $73,000 a year.
Yes.
1 year is not a lot of experience. Okay, so that's one thing. Experience is better than a qualification.
Yes, experience is better than qualification.
So if someone does not have a qualification, they just need more experience.
Yes. Okay. So no qualification could be dealt with if you have more experience.
Yes, and it's not a lot more. You only need to have a minimum of 4 years experience as a carpenter.
Yes. To make up for that qualifications if they have. Okay. Perfect. Alrighty. I think first of all, thank you very much, Richard and Neve, for being here today and sharing all of these valuable information. And I think these are the stuff that we could probably never find anywhere on the internet. And your insights have really helped us to understand more about the sponsor program. And I really like how you emphasize on the matching between the sponsors, yes, the employers and the candidate, and also you really focus on the key areas where candidates got to be spending a lot of time on, including English, their skills, their qualifications, and finding the right sponsor. And last but not least, you have spotted out that experience is much more important than qualifications. And finally, the last piece of advice that I would give to anyone who's listening to this particular video is that if you are thinking of working in Australia and wanting to find out if you have a potential or a viable way to go to Australia, then maybe bring all of your CVs and the portfolios if you have them. Talk to FMS. Yes. So that you guys can structure a proper pathway for them, so they can think of how to move and work into Australia. That would be very amazing. Yes. So, and the last piece of advice you will give to the audience today.
One very important thing, and of course very relevant to PTE Magic, is English. And not just an English test. The jobs that we have are real jobs. We can't guarantee that you'll get a job. We can guarantee that you'll get an interview. Because we're actually out there actively searching for workers. But at the end of the day, English and the ability to communicate well, not just score well in a PTE test, but communicate well in a job interview and on the work site is very important.
All right.
So definitely, I send them back to you.
Thank you. I'll take care of that. Yes, but I do understand your point here. I mean, having interview is a really good chance for them to convince the employers that they are a good fit for the company, so that doing the best at the interview should be something that they should consider as well.
And this is how we know that a lot of people are getting scammed.
Yes.
A lot of people say, I can guarantee you a job. And that's how you know it's not a real job.
And also, like someone said, no need English to go to Australia. It's not true.
Exactly.
Unless you get married, then it's different. But we do marriage visas as well. But at the moment, the Australian government wants workers, not people, to get married.
Okay. Alrighty. On behalf of the audience and on behalf of the entire PTE Magic team, I would extend our gratitude to your presence here today and the time you spent in this particular public podcast. And I hope that you guys enjoy this video. And if you do have any questions, please drop your information below, or you can click at the link to go straight to FMS. And I totally believe that you at FMS will be able to answer all of the audience inquiries. Okay, so thank you very much and see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.